thank the gentlelady from Washington for her leadership on this issue. This body's continual refusal to act on immigration reform sadly comes at a tremendous cost to our country and to our security as a nation. The financial costs, according to the CBO, it's estimated that the Senate bill would reduce our deficit by over $135 billion, grow millions of new jobs, and boost our economy. In fact, in the 4 months since the Senate bill was passed, we've already missed over $5 billion in revenue and tens of thousands of jobs, jobs that Americans could use that have not been created, that don't exist today because of this body's failure to act. And in the spirit of Veterans Day, it's important to highlight the tradition of military service that the gentleman from New York and the gentlelady from Washington talked about. And at a time when the military is facing recruitment issues, making sure we have the very best men and women to wear our uniform and defend our nation, many individuals who fall under DACA, the Deferred Action Program, are not allowed to serve in our military. We're talking about dreamers, young people who grew up here, might have been here since they were 2 or 5, know no other country, or as American as you or I, many of whom want to give back, want to risk their life to protect their country, the only country that they know, the country that they love, and yet the military is not allowed to recruit them and they're not allowed to serve. It's been estimated that more than 30,000 young immigrants would join the military and qualify for legal status if we pass comprehensive immigration reform. Key provisions of H.R. 15, our immigration reform bill, would have important and lasting benefits for our armed forces and have broad support from the military. For example, the bill would allow deferred action childhood arrivals to enlist in all branches of the U.S. military, including the National Guard, and be provided with an expedited path to citizenship and recognition of their service to our great nation. Many immigrant service members have become exemplary soldiers. Until 2009, only citizens and permanent residents were allowed to serve. In 2009, the Department of Defense introduced the Military Accessions Vital to the National Interest Program, which allowed visa holders with high-level skills to enlist in the military and earn U.S. citizenship through their service. We are fortunate as a nation to have talented and hardworking immigrants who want to serve in the military. But this opportunity today is largely restricted to special visas for medical professionals and language experts. While that improves the security of our country, it would be improved even more by passing H.R. 15 to benefit from the great potential and the tens of thousands of would-be service members who are asking to give back to our country, who are asking to put their lives on the line to defend the country they love, the country they know, the country that they want to serve. Millions of aspiring Americans who want nothing more than to pay their fair share, who want nothing more than to give back to our country, to make our country stronger. It's time for us to find a way for dreamers, for hundreds of thousands of other talented people to pursue their dreams in the only country they know, whether their dreams take them to the front lines of combat defending our nation or to the front lines of competitive jobs in the private sector or to other forms of public service. Failure to take action only perpetuates an underground economy in which our nation fails to benefit from the great depth of human capital and talent that reside in immigrants that are already here, are already, in many cases, working, and already, in many cases, are contributing members of the communities that they live in. It's simply a matter of formalizing the process and restoring the rule of law so that we have a legal way of facilitating the flow of immigrants to our country and can reconcile that we are both a nation of immigrants and a nation of laws. Those two values that we have as Americans, a nation of immigrants and a nation of laws, far from being mutually exclusive, are complementary. H.R. 15 and the comprehensive Senate bill honor that tradition. That's why more than 70% of the American people support comprehensive immigration reform. It's why I'm confident, Mr. Speaker, that if placed before the floor of this House, H.R. 15 would pass today, would pass tomorrow, would pass next week. I had the opportunity to ask Mr. Goodlatte, as well as the chair of the Rules Committee, Mr. Sessions, yesterday in the Rules Committee, what the plan was for immigration reform, why we were bringing forth bills with regard to asbestos, a legitimate problem to be sure, a bill that's passed this chamber before, a bill that will not likely be taken up by the Senate, but a bill that comes in the jurisdiction of the Judiciary Committee. Why are we spending days and days debating this bill rather than actually solving a problem of immigration reform? Mr. Speaker, I know there are victims of asbestos poisoning. I know there's companies that want to resolve this issue, but I can tell you honestly, I haven't heard from any constituents who called my office begging Congress to take up asbestos reform. It's an issue. We should deal with it. I hope there's a bipartisan approach, but not one of my constituents last week, last month, last year, not one called my office and said, we demand action. We demand action on asbestos reform. Not one. Thousands. Not my office have attended rallies in my district. I've never had thousands of people with the Archbishop, with my good friend from Chicago, Luis Gutierrez, who joined us in my district. Thousands packed a church for immigration reform. Thousands packed a church for immigration reform. Not one call, not one phone call, not one email, no 1 minute, not one email saying Congress passed asbestos reform. 1,000 people in afternoon, we had to close off promotion because it filled up so much, not to mention the thousands, if not tens of thousands, of emails and phone calls and letters saying, solve this issue. Solve this issue, Congressman. Solve this issue, Congress. We don't like the fact that there are 10 million people here illegally. We don't like the fact that we dishonor the rule of law. I don't like the fact that my cousin is in detention and might be deported, even though he has American kids to support. I don't like that. And you know what, Mr. Speaker, when we consider how unpopular this Congress is, it's no wonder that instead of acting on issues that Americans care about, we're discussing issues that, yes, we can discuss, of course. Spend a day, spend 2 days. Are they going anywhere? I don't know. But issues that I haven't heard about. I certainly haven't had a church with thousands of people in my district calling for. And that's why we need to act.
If the gentleman would yield.